And welcome back, everybody. It's good to be back with all of you. I hope you're enjoying my review for Disclosure Day, which is out, of course, now as of Friday. You're getting two reviews today, so lucky you. I actually originally wanted to release my review for Disclosure Day earlier. If you go and watch that review, you can go see what happened there. It was just a whole thing. But ultimately, I didn't end up having time for that. It just didn't end up working out. But I wanted to come back and talk about an IP that already exists for Juneteenth, Freedom Day. Um, I wanted to talk about one of Jordan Peele's films. Jordan Peele is one of my favorite creators in the industry, and I wanted to talk about his film Nope. So, transition to review. Now, let's go ahead and talk about it. This thing will eat you alive, tear your sanity apart, and the most important thing about a predator, as you know, is to never make eye contact with it, or else all it really wants to do is steal your soul. It is Hollywood. Now, that was just a comment that I wrote down in my notes about Nope. This was my second or possibly even third rewatch of this film. It is a brilliantly disguised commentary on the film industry and the relationship that it shares with marginalized people groups, and um, just with the ultimate power of this predator of this film, which is fear of loss and irrelevance, and just what truly a family legacy means to you inside of something like fame and fortune. So, and while yes, both are important messages for our society as a whole, and Jordan Peele does a thought provocative job on these things, the real beautiful part of this one is the horror elements, art style, and Criterion esque moments of Nope. Whether we're talking about the color grading or the camera use, the whole thing is a comment on the film industry and horror flicks and tropes as a whole. Cinema has such a powerful influence on society and artists as a whole in the world of filmography. This movie really kind of beats home the idea ultimately of what your place in the idea of film really is. So, when you're talking about a film like Nope, you kind of just have to look at it from the perspective that it's telling the story of the way that fame will destroy you by using the uh, toolkit that is given to these characters in this world, where we see, the one place that we should feel safe is when we look up at the sky, and ultimately all we get is terror when we look into the eyes of the predator that is consistently hunting us down throughout this film. Um, I think the horror beats throughout this film hit the hardest when they're not trying, oftentimes. It's just the feeling that Nope gives you. And then when a jump scare does happen, it's even more effective because of the camera placement, atmospheric angst, and the gradual build to the climax of this film. I do feel like this one does beat a lot of the ideas of horror by making you really think about just what it really is saying about, the idea of being truly alone, and when you feel like there's something out there trying to get you, how unsafe you truly do feel. And a lot of this movie is just from the perspective of, obviously, the uh, community that it's talking about in the film, which I feel like are really represented extremely well. And I feel like this is a movie where, you know, it's it's a brilliant idea. I think Daniel Kaluuya and Kiki Palmer, along with Steve Ewan, have an amazing staying power in this film, telling both and all three amazing, real stories of people in the industry, and sort of what can happen with trauma and family expectations, and just the idea that once you're in, it's really hard to get out, and it will eventually, kill you or squeeze you dry. Um, they do add something to an already complex and overall amazing experience that works in different, compelling ways every time you rewatch this film. And so ultimately, the reason I wanted to talk about Nope was because this film is ultimately something that I feel like a lot of people will understand post today and post 2022, and will always be something that we can look at and say, wow, just an amazing horror film, ultimately, and a really well done second film and most recent film in Jordan Peele's filmography and collection. Now, he just recently announced to Universal Pictures that he has done writing and that his next film is ready, which means that we're going to get another written and directed by Jordan Peele film. The last one that we got from him was Us, and I do not count him or the ones that he's produced on specifically, but Get Out, Nope, and Us, and now we're going to get another one here soon in the next year or two from him, which is exciting because I feel like he is one of the best and probably on a Mount Rushmore for a lot of people, and I could definitely see him being on my Mount Rushmore of horror directors, for sure. Nope scares up at the end of its time, a worldwide gross of 171.2 million, and ultimately 148.7 million at the uh, global box office, with a overall budget of about 68 million, and that means that it grossed, a good bit of money. Just whether we're talking about just locally or worldwide, it milestones it secured during its biggest opening weekend for an original film since the onset of the pandemic, and it marked director Jordan Peele's third consecutive uh, feature to surpass 100 million at the domestic box office. So when we talk about Us and we talk about Get Out, we have to talk about Nope as well, because all three tell different stories, but all three are very important in different ways. The critical reception for this one, this film was highly praised for its ambition, performances, visual style, and themes, holding an 82% certified fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes. The accolades, it was officially named one of the top 10 films of 2022 by the American Film Institute, and has since been listed among the best sci fi films of the 21st century. And I agree with all those things. Now, here's some of the awards that this film ultimately won. It got Best Science Fiction Picture at the Saturn Awards, arguably the film's most prestigious outright win. At the AFI Movies of the Year, Top 10 Films of 2022 from the American Film Institute, which honored Nope as one of the 10 best films released that year. And I feel like that's, well, obviously earned. Best Supporting Actress for Keke Palmer from New York Film Critics Circle, which I feel like was a really prestigious thing. Obviously, an outstanding cinematography for Hoyt Hoyte van Hoytema at the Black Reel Awards, and that's from Fandom Movies. So ultimately, this film did amazing. Obviously, there are a lot of fans that consider it one of the best horror films of all time, if not one of the best in the current 2020 run. For me, it's one of those ones that I got to watch for the first time when it came to streaming just recently on Netflix. I got to watch it a couple times in a row, and I really love it. It's probably one of my favorites, and it made me go down a whole Jordan Peele rabbit trail where I've watched Get Out and Nope. I'm still I'm working on getting a hold of Us and working on watching that one. But I love his filmography, his storytelling style. Obviously, the message that he sends is always very poignant and very thought provoking. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this film, not just because it's Juneteenth or anything like that, but honestly because if I didn't talk about this film and the influence that it's had on me as a film reviewer and cinemaphile and enthusiast, I would be just not doing myself a lot of favors. Obviously, this film is amazing, an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it on Netflix as of now. A lot of fans still consider the lack of Oscar nominations for this film, especially for Van Hoytema's cinematography and Michael Abel's score, one of the bigger Academy snubs of 2022. Obviously, I agree with both of those things. The cinematography and score in this one really is what made it stand out as a horror film and as a film as a whole. This movie obviously hits its home runs, cinema and the camera work, and then also the ways that it chooses to use the score to kind of add tension to the moments. And there's just a really good writing all around from Jordan Peele. He does an amazing, amazing job, obviously. The man is one of the best current working directors, along with Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan, who ultimately I feel like it goes Jordan Peele and then Denis Villeneuve and then Nolan. This is three of the biggest working directors right now. All three of them, whenever they drop something into theaters, usually they do extremely well. So overall, this film accumulated about 44 wins and about 188 nominations across critic groups, genre awards, and industry organizations. Obviously, an amazing win overall. And Nope has actually aged pretty well critically since its release. And obviously, I wanted to talk about it today. Over 4 years later, it still hits extremely hard and it works extremely well, even for those who are uninitiated and maybe don't get the deeper message hidden behind the obvious fear and paranoia that hide in alien movies. There's obviously always a deeper message. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of short review, and I am planning on going out and seeing The Death of Robin Hood this weekend. Actually, I think I'm going out to see that later this evening, so look for that review either tomorrow, Saturday, or on Monday, just depending on how long I sit with The Death of Robin Hood. But always go out and support your local theaters, as always. So now, I'll transition to end the movie. Okay, now, all the other fun stuff I get to say. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Shout out to all my viewers. A lot of you, YouTube Analytics says, are not subscribed. So please consider subscribing. Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you've seen Nope. Hopefully this review and overall reflection on the film makes you want to go check it out. I would highly suggest it. It is an amazing, amazing movie from a creator that is not only one of the best working today, but one of the best writers and directors just overall. So go check out Nope. It is currently on Netflix. Other than that, shout out to all my viewers. Shout out to all my Canadian followers. According to YouTube, you're actually a good portion of my viewers. So let me know. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know where you're from. I love the audience engagement. Let me know if you've seen the movies I talk about. And let me know just, how you guys are doing. I hope you guys enjoy what I'm doing on this channel. I will continue to do it. But if, for some reason, I should get sucked up into the sky, not unlike in the film Nope, at least we have the hope that I will see you at the movies. All right. Peace out.